In Great Expectations, Pip is adopted, and he lives with his abusive older sister and her kind husband Joe Gargery in the Kent marshes. One day, he visits the elderly Miss Havisham, a bitter old woman who teaches her adopted daughter Estella to break men's hearts. He falls in love with Estella and begins to visit Miss Havisham more frequently. She one day gets him a job as a blacksmith's apprentice. He's unhappy with the job, until one day a lawyer appears and tells him he has inherited a great fortune from a mysterious benefactor. Pip moves to London to become a gentleman, but later falls in great debt. He learns who his benefactor is and goes back home. Meanwhile, Estella marries another man. Miss Havisham, on her deathbed, asks Pip for forgiveness for teaching her daughter to be cruel. Pip finally moves to Cairo to become a clerk. Years later, he reunites with Estella, and both walk hand to hand on Miss Havisham's old estate.
Joe Gargery, a blacksmith, first appears when Pip steals from his short-tempered elder sister. During Christmas dinner, soldiers arrive and ask Joe to mend some shackles. At the same time, Pip's theft is about to be discovered. Joe accompanies Pip for the last visit when he gives the money for Pip to be bound as an apprentice blacksmith. Meanwhile, Mrs. Joe is brutally attacked when Pip and Joe were away from the house. After some years, Joe visits Pip at Barnard's Inn and relays him a message about Stella being at the Sadie's house. When Pip is back in town, he falls ill in his room and Joe nurses him back to health and pay off his debt. When Pip begins to recover, Joe slips away. Pip asks Joe's forgiveness, promises to repay him, and leaves for Cairo. In the end, Pip returns to England to visit Joe and his son, Pip Jr.
Charles Dickens has a very unique writing style. His most characteristic trait is the charactonym.
Do you know what charactonym is?
Charactonym is when the writer gives distinctive characteristics to his or her character.
There are two types of characters seen in Dickens' stories, round and flat. Round characters are complex and undergo a development through the story. Flat characters are simple and don't change. They remain the same until the end of the story. These characters help create a mood and help the writer deliver his feelings. Dickens introduces his characters by their actions, their dialogue, and their thoughts.
Thank you!